The party continues here at the NFL Combine. Jordan Reid, NFL insider, draft expert, ESPN. How we doing, my guy?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Second year in your role, of course, working alongside Mel Kiper Jr.
Yeah.
You still got the tight. You don't have the pompadour like Mel.
I was gonna wear it here, but I didn't want everybody looking at me crazy. But no, Mel's great. It's being a part of Mel, and I tell everybody, like, everybody had their favorite musician or their favorite athlete growing up. Mel was like that for me.
Oh, man.
He was like Michael Jordan to me, so he's a pleasure to work with every day.
Well, we're infatuated here in the desert with this draft class, as I'm sure are you. It does feel like, especially based in comparison to last year, this year, much more star power. And for us in Arizona, that star power starts and ends with one Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
Where does he rank in comparison to some of the other wide receivers you've scouted, you've researched in years prior?
I think he's one of the best that we have seen in quite a long time. I think you hear the names Calvin Johnson, AJ Green, Julio Jones, Jamar Chase. I think he's right in that tier. As far as a prospect, he's one of my favorite that I've ever scouted, and I think he's going to be a big-time player from day one.
You know, they said that a lot of people said he's earned the right. I mean, he's probably the best non-quarterback prospect the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He came out last year. I mean, when he's not working out, I mean, he really couldn't do anything for himself to lift his draft prospects anyway, right?
No, I mean, he's one of those players that he could say, hey, I'll see you guys at the draft, and
Right.
throw us the peace sign, and I'll be just fine with it. He's the top-ranked player in the draft for me. That just shows you how much I love Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think he's going to be a top 10 receiver from day one in the NFL.
Yeah, I love hearing that. So if the Cardinals don't have a chance, God forbid, to get MHJ at number 4, and we've heard pretty infatuated with this tackle class, who is the quintessential OT1 to you right now?
Well, Joe Alt from Notre Dame is the one that's at the top for me, but you also are going to hear the name Olu Fashanu from Penn State. I think it's between those two guys. After that, you're getting into Talise Fuaga of Oregon State, J.C. Latham of Alabama. I'm high on Amarius Mims of Georgia, but the difference between Olu and Joe at the top is just which one do you want right away. I think if we had a game tomorrow, you could fit Joe Alt for his pads right now in his helmet, and he'd be just fine if we had a game tomorrow. But Olu, he's still a little bit of a work in progress from a run game perspective, but pass protection, he's the best of the bunch.
Arizona Cardinals are in a great spot, obviously, with 2 first-round picks, 6 picks in the top 100. But when you look at the 4th overall pick and the potential that maybe a team could be a wild card in the Patriots, maybe take Marvin, he's not there. Trying to maximize 4. Is the next best option for Monty Ossenfort crew maybe trade out with the quarterback-hungry teams?
I think so. So let's say Marvin goes at 3 to the Patriots. Now you need to get on the phone with teams to see who values that 3rd quarterback, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Similar to what we saw them do last year when they traded back. When the Texans tried to come, or they came up for Will Anderson Jr. I think that is the best way to maximize 4, especially if Marvin Harrison Jr. is off of the board.
Do you feel like, I mean, everybody knows it's an offensive-rich draft, but that's not to diminish the defensive talent that could be available for the Arizona Cardinals as late as even pick 27. Do you feel like there's much more depth in the first round this year, in the back half of the first round, like guys with true first-round grades this year compared to years prior?
Yeah, absolutely. And most teams have about 12 to 15 first-round grades on average. Some scouts that I talked to, they said that they have as many as 25 first-round grades in this year's class. So that just goes to show you the depth of this tackle class and the receiver class as well.
You know, we watched the Senior Bowl, and we saw some prospects unfortunately play themselves out at 27, you know, like Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah.
I mean, he's risen up the draft boards, and we'll see about Tyler Guyton. But who are you looking at this week that probably could play themselves out at 27? I know Byron Murphy II, you're big on him. Anybody else we should be watching this week in Indy?
So I think the Cardinals need help at cornerback. Kool-Aid McKinstry of Alabama is one that I definitely would have circled. There's going to be a lot of stopwatches in people's hands when he comes up for the 40, just because that's a big question mark about him right now, just how fast is Kool-Aid. So if he goes out and he runs a 4.4, I don't think he's going to get there at 27 anymore. But if he does, Cardinal fans should be hoping he runs a little bit slower, just because I think he plays faster on tape than probably what he's going to show. But if he does end up running a 4.4, he could go higher than 27. But if he gets in the low 4.5 range, now that's where he could be in contention at 27.
Last question for you. It's I think a really rich offensive line class, even beyond the tackles. You know, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon, these interior offensive linemen, Do you feel like there's going to be a handful of these guys that are maybe going to warrant a first-round selection this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could see as many as 3 centers go in the first round. You just talked about one with Jackson Powers Johnson, but Graham Barton of Duke is another name that a lot of people are going to hear about. Zach Frazier of West Virginia is another name that has a lot of buzz right now. So this center class is a little bit top-heavy, but there's a lot of love for it at the top.
You know, before you get out of here, though, I've got to squeeze one more in. I thought I was going to have to go outside of our PHNX space to find the worst take of the draft of Indy. But I heard from my colleague here, he said that oatmeal raisin is a better cookie than chocolate chip.
Ooh, yeah, that's real bad. That's a pretty bad one. Right
Listen,
there.
it's healthier. It's got a better taste, more fiber.
It's a cookie. It's not supposed to be healthy, right?
Right, exactly.
I would
say it's the Marvin Harrison Jr. of this class because it checks every box. Chocolate chip is a little, maybe it's the Malik Neighbors. Like to some, it's wide receiver 1, but to me, it's oatmeal raisin.
All right, Jordan Reid. Follow him on Twitter. Read all his great work, ESPN.com. He's just getting started for draft season. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Thank you guys as always.